Right. So I guess we're playing as Edwin. Let's go. this is a bit of a change. So yeah. So Sander is dead. We got skewered, but it looks like he did actually manage to kill the deer. So we can now hang the deer's skull um, on a wall, which seems harsh, but anyway. Oh yeah, we have to pay for that. Ah, I see. No, I don't feel like Edwin would want to do that, to be honest. So I'm going to deny that. But I do inherit the spear of my father, so that's good. Right, I need a new educator, I believe. So I'm going to pick, if he's still around. I hope he's still around. I'm going to pick Patrick to be my educator as my master at arms. I feel like that's a good starting point. We also need to be betrothed. Yeah, we do need that. We can also proclaim a dynastic nickname, but I feel like that gets bugged quite a lot because I've never actually been able to do it. Right, so while passing through the streets with my guardian Patrick, we came by the pillory. A man was stuck there, begging for water or any kind of relief from his fate. So, of course, we're now playing a very different character because he's just. He's also rowdy, so he's got a bit of a temper, but mostly just. So we can say that criminal shouldn't even dare to look at me, which gives us the arrogant trait. We can get him some water from the well, which will give us compassionate. Or we can be callous. Now, I don't feel like we would be callous. I suppose without knowing the crime, it's hard to say whether this is the just thing, but I feel like Edwin would be compassionate. He would see someone, one of his people in need and get them some water. So we're now just and compassionate. So very different from our father so far, but developing into a fairly nice character. Right, of course, this does sort of change our plans slightly. So I can now... okay, slightly ironic. I can now squire for... so he wants us to be under Duncan Dunkle, which is just a hilarious name. But it would give us a knighthood, but it's just ironic that he's the person we're looking to possibly invade first. But I will become a squire because I feel like that is very useful at the moment. Of course, if my father had survived, we would have been able to be knighted by him, but that didn't happen because deers are dangerous. Right, let's see if we can get ourselves a betrothal. We don't need... Although... There is a highborn with the giant trait. Anyway, so what do we want, really? I think it'd be nice to get some prestige. So whether we can find someone who... So we could get another Lannister... No, that's just weird. So there seems to be a lot of Lannisters around. Some old flowers, some Royces. Lots of Freys, obviously, of course there are. And they actually do have some decent traits. They've both got the pretty trait. So let's just see if there's anyone with a inheritable trait first. I think this would be a good point to try and get some traits into the family. But again, we are sort of role-playing, so I don't want to just sort of power game it and just go for, oh yeah, this is the best trait, and therefore we'll go for them. I feel like we want to get a highborn, if we can, with an inheritable trait. So if we just go for rank, I believe, and we probably want to sort it by them not being sort of older or younger than 10 years, which apparently rules out everyone. Okay, there we go. So there's a swan with the quick trait. There's a Dane, which is always fun, who's fairly attractive. She's actually a lady, so she actually owns a province, so that could be quite interesting, because that would be another... I know it's a long way away, but that would be another, 1,000 men. There's a Marston there with a much bigger army. I'm conflicted. I just don't know. Yeah, I think we're going to go for Lady Ludviga Lugus. Everyone has very great names in this. So we'll send that. We'll see if it works out. We don't know yet. They might change their mind. But for now, we'll have that betrothal. Gets us a nice alliance. Again, not expecting anyone to... my steward gave me... tutor, gave me an extra bit of stewardship. That's good. And apparently we're not a very good knight because we are losing lots of experience in the knight thing. There we go. Gained some back. So while we're young, let's see if there's any decisions we can make. No, not particularly. Let's just make sure as well all our courtiers are still doing what we want. So Yeah, so he's collecting taxes, that's fine. Foreign affairs is fine. Organised army is also fine. Yeah, everyone seems to be doing what I want them to do, so that's good. Life and duties of the squire. Sir Duncan has left me in the armoury with naught but a rag. I've been instructed to practice cleaning every weapon here before sundown. So these weapons must shine. So if we do a good job, we'll gain 5 experience, or we could gain 1 martial, or nothing happens, or the training's unsuccessful. I'm starting to think this guy's not a very good knight. In fact, no, he's pretty dreadful, but all we want is that knighthood just to get us some experience. So yeah, we're going to wait until we are sort of in control, as it were, before we look to carry on our plan to take over this bit of land. They have gained a few more troops by now, but again, so have we. And then we can look to see maybe if there's anything we can upgrade. So Duncan has left some younger pages in my charge.
My cupbearer can read better than you.
Though they are unruly and undisciplined, I've been instructed to drill them on some of the fundamentals of swordplay, setting them up in groups and teaching them as much of what I have learned as I can. Learning was challenge enough already, but now I must make a teacher of myself. Perhaps this is good, though. A knight does need to teach their squires. So I will try to be a good teacher. I imagine this will not work out. We don't know. Okay, fair enough. So actually, while we're sort of waiting for things to happen, we're going to see if any of our courtiers are unmarried. So, of course, we have our mother here, who we're going to keep around if we can. So we'll see if we can get a matrilineal match for her. In fact, we might be able to get some decent courtiers through this. So we've got by diplomacy, because we're struggling with diplomatics. We've got Master Hugh here, who has the Herculean trait, so that might be quite good. Or we have a couple of quick ones, but we'll stick to... Oh, they're lowborn, aren't they? In fact, is everyone... There's only one that's not lowborn who's got some funky glasses on. We'll go for the Herculean trait, though, because, again, we need that diplomacy, so we'll try and get him into our court. That's Patrick's wife, so that's fine. Septon can't be married. We have Betha here, so we'll see if we can get a matrilineal match for someone. Have I left? Yeah, I have left inheritable on, that's why we couldn't find anyone. That's fine. So we'll see if we can get some decent commanders in. So she's 31, so if we go for... he's paranoid and callous. Diligent, chaste and just. So we'll go for Humphrey here, who's got 19 marshals, so he'd be a good commander if we need it. We have Amira, our tutor, so we'll try and find her someone with good learning if we can, just to sort of... I have this weird thing in this game where I like to, whatever their role is, or whatever their highest trait is, I try and find them a match with a similar high trait. So her learning is 17, so I'm going to go for... we're not going to go for Nisari, we're going to go for Raymond, because they're very similar ages. So again, his learning's 18, so for some reason in my head, that's a nice match. So it just increases the size of our court. You know, if they have children, it means we have more courtiers, more people to develop skills, blah, blah, blah. So I just like to do that just from time to time, just make sure all my courtiers are married off. It just means we've got more options to choose from. So if I look now, you know, our Castellan here, who has... not Castellan, sorry, our steward here, who's our maester, we can now probably find someone better. So Yandel, 15 stewardship, so we'll swap them out. I know that'll make him unhappy, but meh. It's fine. And as for a Castellan, we can probably find someone better. We'll leave him for now, just until we are no longer in a regency. So it looks like Patrick is trying to build some power for himself, which may not be great, but I mean, look at the size of him. I'm not going to argue with him. Look at the size of him. So we'll have to wrestle that back at some point, but we've got a few more years until we have to do that. Twisted words. I'm about to enter the hall to pay my daily respects when I hear voices inside. My hand hovering indecisively at the door, I hear one of the voices invoke a quote from the seven-pointed star, one that earned me praise for my grasp of its subtleties. But now I hear it being used so utterly wrong that I can hardly believe my ears. So we can question how they can get the seven-pointed star so wrong for the zealous trait, or I can say that adults are fools and I'll get far in life, which gives us the ambitious trait. Now, the ambitious trait is obviously great because you get a +1 in everything, but the stress gain can be an absolute killer Zealous gives us piety and martial. Means people of a different faith don't like us, but I think most of Westeros is at the moment the same religion. I'm going to go for the ambitious trait. I think this is a kid born from nothing who's now a lord all of a sudden. I feel like it's already proven how ambitious he is, and he just wants to carry that on. So straight away, our new steward got us 75 gold, so that's always useful. So might be able to look to start upgrading some buildings at some point, or we could save up for that. In fact, actually, this castle's got nothing in it, so might be useful at some point to build that up. But I think ideally, I'd like to wait until I can build a city, which is only 300 gold away, so might be a possibility. So the life and duties of a squire. So Duncan and I are riding with haste to a village in the countryside surrounding home. Banditry has run amok in the area, and they've called for nearby knights to come aid and protect the village in exchange for hot meals and a sack of coin. Knights of service are often required to act as intermediaries between Lord and their people, Duncan explains to me. By stopping the bandits and aiding the village, Sir Duncan hopes to show me a side of knighthood I had not known. So I can pay close attention, which will either give me... so if it's successful, we'll get 5 experience traits in knighthood and then possibly 20% increase in stewardship, or it's a 58% chance that we lose 5 traits. Again, didn't seem to tell us. So our knighthood is actually going quite well. We've got 67 experience, so we're nearly there. So again, life and duties of a squire. So Duncan, it's the same one again. So we need to try and teach some of these pages. So again, we'll try and be a good teacher. And that was successful, so we get another 5. Right, let's try and swing the scales back in our favour. So we don't have a hook on him. We could use piety, but it would take a lot of piety. But seeing as we're sort of just and ambitious, I feel like, maybe we have that ability. So I'm going to try and do that. I'm going to try and swing them back. Just keep it around 2 if we can. Maybe try and push it down as we get older. Right, so our Septon's come back, and he has now got a claim on Crownback. So we'll have that in our back pocket just in case we need it. He still doesn't have any allies, which is good. So that is probably still going to be our first target because, again, we're stronger than everyone around us, but they've all got alliances with people fairly, especially the Spinney. They have an ally. And in fact, is it the whole of Rook's Rest that he's allied with? Yeah, looks like it. So, yeah, definitely not going to be able to take that anytime soon. And again, Bluntmark is owned by a Riker, so they will support each other. So if we could try and get Crown back, and then maybe try and move up to Shadow Shield and own this sort of corner, if you will. Right, so... it looks like Patrick's causing more trouble. So he wants to tighten up the realm, the Crown's authority in the realm. So he wants to give us limited Crown authority. Not the worst thing, but I don't like the fact that he will gain more power. I'm going to decline it for now because I would like to make those decisions myself when I'm actually in power rather than let Patrick decide that. Who is becoming quite the troublemaker at the moment, as my father's friend. It's a pain, and also as my tutor, which might not be great, but anyway, we'll stick with it for now because he's probably the best martial character we have, which is what we want to train in, obviously. Oh, so it looks like we've got a playdate planned around. So this is Sylvie Riker, so is it our Lord or is it the other? No, it's the Lord of Bluntmark rather than the actual Liege Lord. So every time I see her, my day's made better. I wish we could play all the time. So it looks like we've got a bit of a crush on old Lady Sylvia here, which isn't great considering we are betrothed, but we'll give her a flower. I don't think he would know any better at this point, Edwin. He's not been sort of around the. Okay, I gained stress from that anyway. I was rejected. Yeah, I don't feel like he knows sort of the finities of court at this point. His father never bothered to teach him that sort of thing. I feel like he, again, very similar to his father, he's only been around commanders and generals and martial characters, so he might not understand sort of the, those aspects of court. So, as the Lord, I don't get much time by myself. Minders and guards are everywhere, keeping me safe from both harm and any sense of fun. Finally, though, I've managed the lot. Hang on, I've read that wrong. Finally, though, I've managed the lot. It took a little daring, but they don't know the route past the walls that I know. I can't use it too often, but when I do, all of Yellowstar stretches out before me. Freedom! I feel like this is heading to a Bran situation, climbing tall walls. This can only go wrong. So it looks like now we've been asked to tend to the animals of Sir Duncan on his lovely horse here. So we'll try and clean them properly, which worked. So our stewardship increased and our trait experience increased. So where are we at now? We're at 77. Okay, so slowly creeping up. Again, we probably should have found a better knight than him, but it's fine. You know, he's not a terrible character. It's just he's not a great knight in terms of prowess. In fact, our prowess is already higher than his. We're only 14, so that's always good. And we're very nearly at 16, which I believe is still when you can become a lord rather than under a regency. So we'll just wait to see what happens when we get to that age and whether he gives up power willingly. If he does, I will probably reward him with maybe making him Master of Arms if I can, or something like that, which I can. So yeah, if he does, I might give him some sort of reward. Although he is Master of Hunt already, so I guess he already is. Oh, looks like we're still thinking about Sylvie. I think I'm going to gain the stress on that one. It's a bit of a pain at this point, but we can manage that. We can bring it back down. In fact, can we? Oh, we can't do anything until we are actually an adult. So it looks like the Dunkels are gaining more men. It looks like they've either recruited or gained some. In fact, we could actually increase the size of our levies, I believe. Yeah, we've got 2 of 8, so we could increase them for 90 gold. So we could get 2 more sets of armored footmen, or we could maybe look at getting some crossbowmen or some pikes. Or just some bowmen. I think we'll get some bowmen, actually, because they're quite nice and cheap, and it just gives us a few more men to throw around when the time comes. So I know we're trying to save money, but I feel like that's going to be beneficial. So Duncan calls me over to his table, where he works with a piece of parchment and a quill. On the parchment, he's crudely drawing the arms of several houses. Duncan explains that failing to know a knight or lord by their arms alone is a sign of disrespect, and one I must never show. So he wants us to try and memorise all the lords and ladies of the land, all the sigils. So let's see. We failed. To be fair, I mean, you know, there are a lot of them. Come on, give me a break. There we go. So we've now grown into an adult. So with the help of Patrick, I've completed my studies of warfare. Even if the highest aspects of the subject eludes me, I lived up to everyone's expectations and learned more than most. My captain training alongside this has been excellent, making me one of the realm's foremost captains. As I take my first steps into adulthood, I find myself reminiscing about some of the people who've made an impact on the man I've become. The friendship I shared with Wayland meant a lot to me when we were both young, and still having by my side means a lot. I had some memorable times with Sylvie. She truly helped me understand both myself and love. I'm not sure that last bit's true. Anyway, we've become a man now, so let's have a quick look at how we've turned out. I'm going to pause the game. So we've become a pillager, apparently. Not quite sure how that happened. We're a skilled tactician, 11 martial, 21 prowess, so not as good martial as our father, obviously, and prowess not as good, but probably overall a slightly more balanced character. We're going to set our lifestyle to martial, and again, we're going to take the chivalry focus because it's the one that makes sense at the moment. So we can also choose aspect of the god, which I never remember how to do. There we go. So we're going to go for... could go for the warrior, which gives us lower diplomacy. In fact, that's what I will do. I think that makes most sense. We can, of course, marry. So we'll send that proposal, which has gone through. So there we go. We are now married.
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today.
And we need to end our regency. So we'll... don't really want to use more piety on him, to be honest. I'm going to try and basically pay him off to end his regency. So before our marriage, the people of Yellowstar Towers might have only known my new wife as a young woman of the Lugus dynasty, if anything. Other than various rumours, they didn't know what to make of her. Those who journeyed to the castle and actually saw her at court mostly whispered about her extraordinary beauty, as well as the choice of her outfit that day. Ludviga, for her part, met the challenge with the strength I expected of her. She looked the court in the eye and did not waver, immediately winning over a great many through sheer determination and the force of her personality, as is her way. So it looks like the people actually like my wife, which is always good. So with the wedding celebration, that we're expecting payment, but I think Edwin's going to tell the subjects to let them enjoy it. I think he's worried that his father's reputation might have passed down. Of course, he wasn't most popular. So I think he's going to let them enjoy it without worrying about paying. And it looks like Renfred Riker wants us to be the steward, which is a interesting choice, but I will accept and get some nice gold for my service. So it looks like he hasn't actually given up our regency yet, which is a bit annoying. So we can't do that for another year now because he has too much power still. Although it's nearly gone. So I will leverage a bit more piety just to drop it as far down as we can, and then just wait a year to do it. So the fire crackles, casting long shadows on the wall of the servants' quarters. A wizened old woman holds children agog with her tails. The hellhounds, when people make bonfires to purify the dead. With fur as black as night and mouths foaming, they appear from the ashes with an explosion. Each one is the soul of a sinner with its own tale to tell. The fire sputters and fades as the old woman finishes her story and chivies to the children to prepare for bed. So we can either listen along and lose a bit of a stress, or we can pass the ghost stories off as nonsense, which I think is what Edwin would do. I don't think he believes in stuff like that. Oh, I've also been made master of the horse. That's pretty good. So we just need to sort that regency out. But apart from that, I think we're doing okay. Our sister is developing well. Still has a guardian. Oh, doesn't have a guardian, actually. That's... Okay, that was quick. Already pregnant. So I will make an offering to the mother to gain a bit of prestige. So we need to find a guardian for my sisters. So we'll go for Justin for Matrice. And in fact, we might do the same for Marla because they have both been taught. Oh, is that? Hang on, I'm confused now. Oh, that's half sister. Okay. I thought we had two. Oh, was she? Hang on, I think she was pregnant when Xander died, I believe. So is she in our court or not? Oh, she's not in our court. Okay, so we don't need to worry about that one. That's fine. Right, so I think we're going to call it there for now. I don't know if this is going to be one episode or two. I might split it down the middle for the unfortunate passing. But yeah, it's been an interesting start to the game. So, of course, we started off as Xander, who died in a hunting accident, which seemed very thematic for him, really. And we're now playing as Edwin. So we just need to get rid of this regency. And then next time, we're going to look to move into the Crownback lands, take their land from them. Oh, of course, they've now got an alliance. Right, we'll do that when we come to it. And then we'll try and take Shadow Shield and own this little quarter of land here, and then move on from there. With Edwin, we're going to look to compete in tournaments where we can, maybe go hunting, although maybe be a bit more careful, and otherwise just try and build up this realm as much as we can, leave it well for the next generation. So with all that said, thank you very much for enjoying me.
Oh, it's funny, is it?
Thank you very much for joining me. I told you, first live com in a while. It was always going to go wrong. I hope you're excited for the return of House Longspear and for CK3 on the channel, and I will see you next time.